red, blue, purple light. Friends, red, blue, purple light. Friends, facts, red, blue, purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts, you can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to Melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I open my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah, we gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts, we in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts, peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light to the family. Peace, love and light to the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you and it's going to provoke you and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Melanin Mondays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. Let me know how we sound on the audio before we even continue. Let me know how we sound on the audio, please. All right. Peace to everybody in the building. I see y'all. As you can see, we have an early show tonight. You know what I'm talking about? I was like, why not? You know what I mean? Why not? Why not? Why not start it off early and get this thing over with? You know what I mean? While the people is wide awake. You know what I'm talking about? So yes, we're going to do the roll call. Yeah, we took a little hiatus. You know what I mean? Took a few days off just to reset. You feel me? Just to reset. But we're back in the building. I've been working. I've been putting on some things. You know what I mean? I've been putting on some some behind the scenes work and whatnot. Let's do the roll call and then we'll get into the conversation for the day. All right, we have Arizona in the building. You dig? Shout out to Arizona. We got the multiverse in the building. We got Cali in the building. We got Philly in the building. Indianapolis in the building. Bay Area, Jersey in the building. All right. Shout out to Jersey. We got Ohio in the building. You know what I'm talking about? We got Dallas, Georgia. I don't recall driving past Dallas, Georgia before, but shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Shout out to wherever that's at. Shout out to y'all. Dallas, Georgia. We got Hartford. We got San Fernando Valley, Stone Miggity, Charlotte. We have Seminole, Florida, land of the hidden mounds, DC, T-Dot. You know I'm talking about? Chino Hills, Hartford. When I was in Hartford, was you in Hartford? Did you see me in Hartford? I'm just wondering. Did we bump into each other? Because I did bump into a few KTLians out there, and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Hartford. You know what I mean? Hartford treated me good. So I respect Hartford. And I will be out there very soon visiting. Naptown, Jersey, Silicon Valley, Wisconsin, Cali, Oakland. The DMV is here. Chi-Town is here. Chicago and the West Side. Where you from, Trice? You got the West Side in the building. Gibson, Louisiana. The BX. Always love to the Bronx. Jersey. Murderham, Alabama. Man, you know me. I love going down the ratchet rabbit holes. I was watching a video about, what was that? Montgomery, Alabama. The same place where the people popped off on the boat. God damn it. Y'all need to, man. That's all I gotta say. Man. Shit is real in these streets. You know what I mean? Shit was real. It was looking scary out there. CLT West Side, the Windy City, Commerce, Georgia, Stone Mountain. We got Pittsburgh, Compton, the Bronx, Fort Greene, Medina. You know what I mean? Fort Greene, Medina, Birmingham Veg. That's a new take. Birmingham instead of Birmingham, Birmingham Veg. All right, Compton. So Dante and Elsino, y'all in the same hoods, man. Y'all should link up. You know what I'm saying? I hope, you know what I mean? That's why we do roll call, because it's time to connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? Melbourne, Australia, San Antonio, and whatnot. Oxnard. Chi-Town. It's a lot of Chi-Town in here today. It's a lot of Chi-Towns and whatnot. Montgomery, Alabama is the murder capital for what? America? Stop playing. The home of the uprising. Well, niggas is they uprising on each other from the looks of things. Raleigh in the building, Charlotte in the building. You know what I'm talking about? Wilmington in the building, CT in the building, DC in the building. You know what I mean? Memphis is here. Durham is in the building. Kentucky is in the building. We have Brazil, Bahia, the most melanated part of Brazil. That's on my bucket list. Real talk. I've been eyeballing Bahia before the passport bros. Don't throw me in that category. I was eyeballing Bahia. When was it? Damn, it was a minute ago. But I did a deep dive and I ran into Bahia and I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta go there. I might want to go to the Carnival, you know what I mean? Even though it's very carnal, you know, me being a God-fearing man, I gotta be careful. But yeah, I think I might go there. I was thinking about visiting there, and I'm gonna make that happen. That's gonna happen soon. Bowie, Maryland, Vancouver, Minnesota, Philly in the building. Yes. So shout out to everybody, man. The building is packed. It's a family affair. KT Aliens is in the house. Shout out to everybody that was there on Friday. We had class, our first class of April. It was on April 11th, and that was for the AI Accelerated 4.4. I see that Brother Ben, my guy, Brother Ben X, he's doing an AI accelerated class too. I don't want anybody to be confused. That is not our AI class. Shout out to the brother though, because the more people we have that are able to teach the community, the better. I've been watching videos online as well about people. I saw B Dell's video about AI, and that shit was an eye opener. And you know, my stance on AI has always been moderation. Okay. When it comes to any technology, I've always talked about moderation, right? Because it's not like we in the forest meeting up. We're literally inside of the world of technology meeting up. We're in the matrix. You know what I mean? This is the matrix. We're not on Stone Mountain and whatnot. And you know, we're in the matrix. So being that we're in the matrix, the conversation about the matrix and how to utilize these tools that are in the matrix is a natural conversation. You know? Shout out to Spin in the building, Spin City in the building. What up? He's doing AI animation only. Oh, yeah. It's a little different than what we do. Shout out to him. Shout out to all of the teachers out there. There's room for so many more. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. The technology is here, and there makes no sense to have technology and you don't understand it. Yet and still, it's all around you. You know what I mean? It's all around you. I'm gonna bring the brother Bidel as a special guest on one of the future shows and whatnot, so we can have a round table, a powwow. And I saw a show on Brother Rich's channel where brother came on there and he was talking about AI, and I was like, interesting. He had the AI, and the AI was like, he was asking the AI, hey, what's up with the history of melanated people? Da, 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 da. And the AI was spitting like the Akashic records, right? It put a smile on my face. Because I was like, you know, that's kind of like what I've been trying my best to kind of impart on the audience. I was like, look, don't get caught up in the hype of what they call AI. You know what I mean? Think about the fact it's not, you know what I mean? They're using these colorful terms, and it's important to learn the lexicon so you don't get caught up in the hype. What you know as AI right now that people are utilizing through chat bots, right? Because once again, it's such a broad term. AI is a broad term. Let's single it. Let's begin to you know, single, you know what I mean? Like let's get laser focus on what it is that people are interfacing with and interacting with. Chatbots. Okay, Erin and her husband has a great video on it. If you could drop that in the chat, I will go and check that out. But it's chatbots. Like Alexa, you know, Alexa, that's AI. You know, when you're driving in a car and you're using GPS to get you everywhere, that's AI. So when I'm speaking about AI, it's very broad and whatnot. I'm not necessarily talking about those. That's called soft AI. I wasn't referring to that when we're teaching about it. We're talking about chatbots. Now, the other keyword is LLM. Because a chatbot, when you go on, let's say you go on any website and there's like an automatic bot that pops up. Let's say that you call American Express, or you call somewhere and then you call the airlines and whatnot, and you're talking to a bot. You feel me? That's a chat bot, right? Those are like automated. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm not talking about that. That's, you know, that's regular shit. I'm speaking about LLMs. So what an LLM is, a large language model, right? A large language model. How was a large language model built? How was it created? How was it developed? They basically scrape the internet. Okay, they didn't scrub the internet, they scraped the internet, and they put these data sets inside of this quote unquote, you know, they built out this machine, or they built out this quote unquote algorithm by utilizing the data sets of what's on the internet. So with knowing that, I always say to people, think about the fact that they scrubbed the pot, right? And if you're not one of those people who have searched every corner of the internet as long as it has existed, and you're not familiar with all of these sites and whatnot, the AI or the LLM is kind of doing you a favor, because now you have a centralized location where all of this data and information lives and whatnot, and you can pull from it, right? By prompting it. So that's basically what the LLMs are about. And yes, it's a data monster. It feeds off of the, remember when they were saying that data is oil or data is gold? That is exactly what they were referring to. We might not have realized what they meant by that, but when you saw the valuations of Google and Facebook touching trillions of dollars, that should have been an indication that they're monetizing the data that you're giving up for free. You're giving up, we participate in something called the free economy, right? And when we go on these websites or these social media sites, they're called freemium sites. But the freemium sites have a caveat to it. You're not paying up front. You don't have to come out of your pocket. Remember, Internet 1.0 used to have to pay to go to websites. I don't know if y'all old enough to remember that, young whippersnappers, but you used to have to pay to visit websites. That was the old internet, and then it crashed and whatnot. The bubble burst, and then you had Web 2.0, and that's where we are right now, but we're headed to Web 3.0. Okay, that was that whole rush with blockchain, metaverse, crypto, and all of that. Remember that hype and everything? That was the Web 3.0. They're not ready for that right now. They're going to go there, but they're not ready for that at the moment. They're still juicing 2.0. They're like, you know what? It's $1 trillion companies off of 2.0. Why are we changing the business model? So you're paying with your data. Every time that you click, the sites that you visit, the posts that you like, the shit that you buy on Amazon, all of these things are being quote unquote cached and whatnot, and that data is being sold like gold. Okay, that's what's being sold, and the LLMs contain a lot of that data. So now you could go to an LLM and prompt it like it's the Akashic records. You might be able to ask it questions, especially if you're a student, right? Once again, of course, I always encourage that you do a lot of double checking. You got to double check things and triple check it. Okay. Shout out to my good brother right here. Knowing is half the battle. Might be my good sister. I don't know. Red, I was inspired to create a history channel based on our ancient history, creating the image as all melanated people. I've been seeing that. I've been seeing sites pop up that's telling our history. And it's effing dope, bro. It's effing dope. You know what I mean? Like, I'm inspired. I'm watching them damn videos and I'm like, damn, you know what I'm talking about? This shit is lit, you know? Kudos. You know what I'm saying? I'm speechless. It's kudos. It's like when I'm seeing people utilize the technology for positives. Now we know with everything, there's positives and there's negatives. There's okay, knowing is half the, all right, salute, sis. Salute. Drop the link for your channel so I could promote it. I will share that. I will actually share the screen of your channel to let people know what we're doing. Now, I'm not a gatekeeper. We did this on Techno Tuesday, and make sure that y'all tune in for Techno Tuesday. We finna be cooking, you know what I mean? Spin said he's about to cook up. He about to cook up he about to whip up a plate, and I believe him. You know, and I know that he got it in him, you know what I'm saying? So I know he about to drop 80 points on some Kobe shit tomorrow when we do Techno Tuesdays, you know what I mean? But I'm going to show y'all Notebook LM. I'm going to share that screen. I'm going to show y'all what I've been doing on Google and whatnot to encourage anybody that's out there who might not even realize that the technology exists. That's the you know, the sad part of this whole thing when it's all said and done is that they spend a lot of time putting our people into a fear, a place where they are willfully ignorant of things that are going on around them and whatnot. And it's not just AI. They was putting you in fear when Bitcoin was popping, when Bitcoin was like $10. We're talking early Bitcoin. They started their fear campaign back then. What was that for? That was to deter poor people, right? Lower class people, you know what I'm saying? What they would call the undesirables from being a part of this new wealth rush or this transfer of wealth. They didn't want you to get PC. That's why they was acting like this shit was gonna be something that was gonna, you know, be the end of you. How did that work out? How did that work out? Right? How did that work out? Faith, how you doing, Faith? Good evening. Okay. Yes, I have a lot of advice for you, Faith. I would love to work with you on creating your own set of comics. My advice off the rip, my advice to you off the rip will be Chat GPT 4.0. Utilize the free version at first. And if you get the results that you're looking for, give them that $20. Just give them that little $20, maybe just for the month, and milk that shit and milk it until there's no more milking. You know what I mean? Use it to its highest degree. Let me show you something. You know what I mean? I will demonstrate. I'll show you an example of how we take images and we turn them into other images. Okay, I'll show you, right? Because I don't want to be the person to be talking about shit. I'd rather just show it. So here we go. This is Chat GPT, regular 4.0. You know what I'm saying? Regular degular. This is the GPT, right? And all you have to do is either upload a picture, upload your script. You could upload a doodle. Like, you know how people would be scribbling and whatnot? You don't have to know how to be a quote unquote. Let me show you. I'm going to just show you because I could show you better than I could tell you. You don't have to be super duper skilled and whatnot to create some things these days. You don't have to be. They done leveled the playing field. I shit you not. So you could upload your script, you could upload whatever your character description is, and then tell Chat GPT what to turn it into. Yo, turn this shit into a anime, turn it into Disney Pixar, turn it into Fraggle Rock, turn it into, you know, whatever you want to turn it into, you can do it. You can do it. So that would be my advice to you, Faith. You feel me? I think it would be therapeutic as well. You know what I'm saying? Like just utilizing the technology to kind of like do shit for you so you don't have to depend on other people to do things. That's where the frustrations come in when humans don't be humaning. You know what I mean? And people are not doing what they're supposed to do. You feel me? But when you could utilize an assistant, a co-pilot, and it will do the things that you needed to do, shit. That's a relief. You know what I mean? Like that releases dopamine. Okay. All right. But let me show you what it is that this has done for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you the insight. So not only does it render an image that you upload to it, right? Because the chat GPT 4.0, you could upload an image to it, right? You could take a picture from your camera and it will basically, you know, capture that picture, and then you could instruct it what it is that you want to do with the picture. Like You know, it's not really difficult. But not only is it going to give you a rendition of a picture and whatnot, it actually is giving me, I said, turn this cartoon character into a 3D render in Blender style. And it gave me a step-by-step outline of how a 3D artist can follow, bringing it to life. So before it did it for me, it actually was telling me, boom, this is how you do it, right? This is how you base modeling with Blender, the materials and the texture, the lighting. So it's giving me all of the things that I need. Then it asks me, would I like it to generate the 3D concept? And I was like, yeah. I was like, generate the concept. Boom. And then it rendered a mock-up. It gave me a mock-up. You feel me? So not only did it give me the illustration, it gave me the files, download the 3D style render here, right? So it was able to give me the files of the render, right? And that's what it's been doing, right? So I uploaded a flyer, I uploaded you know, different pictures, and it's turning these pictures into different images, as you can see. You feel me? It turned the picture into a different image. Boom. This is the initial image right here. The initial image is right here at the top. Right? That's the original artwork. And from there, I'm able to tweak it and play with it and do what I need to do and whatnot. And then boom, it's turning into different artworks or different depictions of the art. Okay. So you too can do the same thing with your artwork. You feel me? You see me? You see me? So you don't need nobody to tell you, you know what I mean? Have fun. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you got a team, y'all really could do something remarkable. Okay. So let me scroll down, because while we were talking, just to show you the power of this shit, while we was talking, right? I went and took a sketch and I said, turn the sketch into a Pixar animation. And look what it did. I did all of that while I was talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I did all of that while I was talking to y'all. You know? It took the little sketch and it turned it into a Pixar. You feel me? Here's the sketch. Right here. Well, camera won't let me show you, but there goes the sketch. You know? And then boom. It did what it's supposed to do. So that's just a short example of the power of how this AI has upgraded and whatnot. And while I do agree with the with the video that I saw, the AI could be siphoning a lot of the energy, you know. Yeah, don't copy an artist style without an actual reference. Yeah, don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't copy an artist style. But for all of you niggas out there that be trying to paint like Basquiat, don't do that either. Because before the AI came, every festival that I went to, everybody was trying to be Basquiat. Why y'all biting his style? Why y'all trying to be Basquiat and y'all not Basquiat? Leave his shit alone. Only he could do Basquiat. So, you know, not Hove. No, Hove ain't a painter, my nigga. Hove is not a painter. I'm talking about painters. I'm talking about painters. Every single art show that I went to, it's at least 4 painters who is out here biting Basquiat, copying his style. This was before AI. You know, don't bite nobody else's style. You niggas be original. Okay, so you know, sit with that. Yeah, this is my original artwork right here. You know, this is my original artwork right here. I don't gotta worry about no lawsuit. This shit is from my brain. You know what I mean? Like, I got the reference from another artist though, because that's what artists do. They get references from other artists. Okay, that's what they do. Even videographers, filmmakers. You ever seen a filmmaker say, "Yeah, I got this from Tarantino. I got this from Michael Mann. I got this style right here from a Pulp Fiction movie. I got this style from Spike Lee." Right? So now that it's automated, and now that it's automated, it's a problem. Okay. Okay. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. I encourage ethics and integrity. I encourage people to don't cheat. You know what I mean? Don't copy, don't steal. You feel me? Get in your bag, but remain, in integrity, keep your integrity. Keep your integrity. You don't see nothing special about Basquiat's art. Nah, don't do that. Latoya, don't do that. Basquiat's art is phenomenal. Basquiat's art is phenomenal. Kai, what up? Basquiat's art is phenomenal. I promise you. Like, I can't second that. I think he was on a doogie. He was a drug addict. I don't know if that art was inspired by a lot of drugs and whatnot. Like if you got to get, if you got to get high in order to have an output like that. But no, Son was different. Son was different. His shit was different. Like when you really stare at a Basquiat piece, my father got 2 Basquiats in the house. When you stare at Basquiat's artwork, nah, that shit was different, man. I don't. I get it. Everybody, art is up for interpretation. It's always up for interpretation. The same way the beauty is up for interpretation. But yeah, I would highly suggest that when you do have the opportunity to check out his documentary. You said kids can draw like that though. Well, it was a freestyle. You feel me? It was a freestyle. And once again, he was on that boy. He was on heavy drugs and whatnot. And he was tapping into he was channeling in that artwork in a way. Once again, when we talk about the artist, and I'm speaking about the artist from the musician to the painter, all the way down to the thespian, the actor, we sometimes like to, and we like to put morality on these people. We like to dress them up in this moral costume, not realizing that artists are very eccentric. From the musicians to the quote unquote thespians to the graffiti artists, they're not cookie cutter. They don't live the typical, law abiding type of, I'm walking a straight line. They're drawing outside of the line. Do I encourage it? Not at all. Not at all. I don't encourage anybody destroying themselves and putting their life at risk. I don't encourage anybody having being taken over by their vices. We pretty much are working to reverse those type of things on this channel and this platform and whatnot. We'll identify the issues that humanity has, and then we'll try our best to troubleshoot it. Okay, we'll try our best to troubleshoot it and whatnot. But it doesn't take away the truth of the matter. What we don't do is, we don't try to cookie cut things, and we don't paint it with a gloss. Hold on a minute. Daddy. Hold on, I'm on my show. And we don't like to put veneers on things. So a lot of these artists that we come across, heavy drugs in their systems, trauma childhoods, right? They're coming from a dark place, from your actors to your thespians to your painters to your musicians. Sometimes art is an outlet, right? So when we come across these people, right, we judge them by the moral standards of the average quote unquote 9 to 5er or the average person and whatnot. And that's not how that works. You know what I'm talking about? That's not how that works. You know, so what I've learned to do is I've learned to basically discover the pain that some of these artists have been going through and view their art through that lens. Because if you're viewing their art through the lens, this quote unquote programmed lens of how people are supposed to be or how humanity is supposed to be, and you said, oh no, these are red opals. It's red on purpose. It's, nobody jacked me in my mouth. Latoya, you know, it's all good though. Don't worry about it. We're not judging over here. You know what I'm talking about? We're not judging over here. So when it comes to these artists and whatnot, you know, even though a Basquiat or some of these other artists may have been under influences and whatnot, I don't use that to promote it. I just say, you know what? We kind of got to understand what these artists are going through. You know what I mean? And then you'll be able to understand and appreciate the art a little bit more. It's not as simple as we try to make it. Even when it comes to these rappers, even when it comes to some of these singers and whatnot, even when it comes to like reggae artists and dancehall artists and stuff like that, which brings me to a concert that took place this weekend, or rather this strong in the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, right? Now that we're talking about artistry and troubled artists and, you know, the artistic flair of some of these people who are very influential in the hearts and the minds of the people. And why is that? Obviously, there's something that people see in some of these artists that they are relating to, right? And I've said it before on the show that I'm not the biggest Vybz Cartel fan. I did not grow up listening to Vybz Cartel. I'm from Flatbush, Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? For everybody who's not familiar with my background and whatnot, I'm from Flatbush, Brooklyn. So I've been Flatbush. You probably need a visa to be in Flatbush, Brooklyn. That's how much of a melting pot Flatbush is. There's every single representation of the Caribbean out there. So that's what I grew up on. You feel me? I grew up surrounded by people from the Caribbean and whatnot. I grew up surrounded by the rich culture of the Caribbean, the food, the art, the women, the music, the dancing, the sounds, the smells, the colors, all of these things. It enriched me. I think that I would not be the colorful person that I am. You feel me? I would not have the quote unquote the dexterity of culture if I was not raised in Flatbush. I remember going to the the Labor Day West Indian parade, and I was a youth. I might have been like 9 or 10. I was like, God, what the heck? What? You feel me? I was enamored. You know, I was enamored. I was swept away, you know? I was swept away because I saw multiple cultures converge and whatnot. And one thing about me, I respect cultures. Okay. I love culture. I respect culture. I'm a cultural connoisseur. I'm not one of these people that try to hum a stunt like my culture is better than another. No, nigga. I'm about discovering cultures. You feel me? Um, the year that I went to the first time that I recall going to Eastern Parkway might have been like 91 or 90. You know, I got two of my children are from Jamaicans. So you already know I'm invested in Jamaica real deep, Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like I done planted my seed in Jamaica. So I love the culture. I love the music, you know. I love the women, you know what I'm saying? I won't even hide that. I love the women from the Caribbean, like Spicy, you know. Shout out to Spice. I wasn't even paying attention to her until the other day. Shout out to Spice. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Shout out to Spice. But anyway, I've had this conversation on the show about redemption, you know, and because hip hop culture, dancehall culture, and just black culture all around has been so demonized and it's been so bastardized, you know, and there's a lot of colorful characters in all of these cultures and whatnot who, you know, we've been able to witness their rise and their falls. Okay. From the outside looking in, right? We've been able to witness, even when it came to the R&B brothers and sisters from like my parents' era, right? As a youth and whatnot, and as a teenager and as a young adult, I was able to witness their rise and falls. Who was addicted to drugs? Whitney Houston broke my heart. Shit crushed me. It crushed me. It really did, because I literally, that was a real crush of mine. You feel me? And I was a young, impressionable youth. You know what I mean? I'm a Scorpio. So I was on Whitney Houston as like an 11, 10-year-old. I was on, you know what I mean? My first album was her album. You feel me? I used to play that shit and try to scratch it. I used to try, you know what I mean? Like I was on her. When she got with Bobby Brown, I wasn't feeling that. You said, I didn't say all of the artists do drugs. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. All of the artists don't do drugs. I never said that. I said for the artists that did do drugs, there's a lot of them that fucking fell off because of their addictions. There's a whole lot of them that was very talented and filled with potential. They got hooked on that doogie and whatnot, got hooked on crack cocaine, heroin, king heroin before that. You know? And it destroyed some great people. It destroyed them. And the public gets to witness that. It's almost like watching a statue get toppled and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, because, well, keep in mind, I want to add context to it. I'm a young, impressionable mind. Whitney Houston was like one of the first superstars of our generation. You feel me? Whitney Houston would have never said hello to you, Note Ledge. Okay. I think that might be a bot from Botswana. I ain't even going because the other show, I forgot what show it was, but they opened up the floodgates, the bots from Botswana. I'm talking about, I was out here bot swatting. I might have killed about 100 bots on the show while I was talking. On my left hand, I was killing bots. And on my right hand, I was just talking. You know what I'm saying? That's a skill set. You know what I mean? But you know, it's all good, Latoya. We love you. You know what I'm saying? We love you. But To be honest with you, I was a young man. Whitney Houston wouldn't even have looked at me. I was a youth. Yeah. I just loved her because she made that song the greatest love of all. I sang that shit at my graduation. Like she was a beautiful lady, Miss Nippy. I'm talking early Whitney. She was a beautiful woman. She was very, you know what I mean? She was very talented. And she just had an aura about her. Remember, we was dealing with Madonna. We was dealing with Penny growing up to be Janet Jackson, Control and all of that. And then here comes this Whitney Houston with the nice little hairdo and whatnot, looking fine as wine. And she just captured my heart. So to see her go what she went through, to see her go through what she went through, like I didn't even understand what I was seeing and whatnot. She is a poster child for the aunties who got turned into zombies. You know? She was a poster child, right? Because there was many women like her with the Anita Baker haircut that turned into zombies overnight. Fucked us up. You know what I'm saying? One of the main reasons why the young generation don't fuck with the older generation, nor do they respect them. Because never before, even throughout all of history, never before did we have a generation of the youth who were serving drugs to the older generation to the point where they were getting sexual favors for them. That never happened before. Even in chattel slavery, you understand? We was able to hold it together because in chattel slavery, they wasn't selling their children for drugs. This happened during the crack era, my nigga. Yeah, I said the aunties got turned into zombies. Facts. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the people that was born, some people got born into the crack era. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. Y'all have no idea. And I always bring this up because this is a foundation of the trauma that has not been addressed. In Black community, you will never fuck reparations. You will never repair until our people come clean and atone for what took place in the 80s leading up to like the 2000s. Never. Because now it's just gotten into worse drugs. Everybody's niggas is junkied out and everything. It just turned into it's a quagmire at this point. You said Badu got turned into a zombie? Really? I don't know about all that. You called them strawberries. But respect to the 90s babies. I'm just giving you the perspective from an unk. Y'all grew up and the aunties was already zombies. When y'all came out the womb, y'all was looking at zombies and whatnot. Us, on the other hand, we was in an era where there was butterflies. The women was looking like Jet magazine women. They had the motherfucking Raquel Welch flipped hair and everything. And then boom, just like the Thriller video, they turned zombie on us. What the fuck? What the helly? You know what I'm talking about? What the helly? Like, what the helly? We didn't know what the fuck we was looking at. And then they was getting done dirty. They wasn't just going zombie and whatnot. They was getting done dirty and whatnot. So the respect that the younger generation had for the older generation, to whereas we couldn't curse in front of the elders, we couldn't swear in front of them. There were certain things that we couldn't do in front of them. That went out the window. That went out the window. Because now you serving somebody moms and whatnot, and you getting Becky from her. You understand? That never happened before, bro. You know what I'm talking about? That needs to be studied and whatnot. People need to talk about this. You feel me? People need to talk about this. So when you look around and you be like, damn, why they don't respect the older generation? You lost that respect in the 80s, unfortunately. That shit went out the window. And it's painful. It's a painful memory. People have put lipstick on a pig. They try to cover it up because they still selling crack in the music. So we haven't shamed the culture to even feel bad about that shit. You know what I'm saying? The culture is not even shamed to feel bad about it. And that's where I feel a lot of the curses are coming from that our people are being inflicted by. You know what I mean? That's why death is on your timeline so much. You know, that's why it's so crazy, because we are cursed. We are cursed. Fuck all of that. The ham and all of that. The curse of ham. Nah, nigga. The curse of crack. The curse of crack. You know? The curse of crack. Yeah, who's gonna shame them? The crack babies? There's a lot of healing that needs to take place. So Whitney Houston, the same way in the movie Jungle Fever, Halle Berry was playing a crackhead and whatnot. Whitney Houston, though, was the most famous. She was the one who deteriorated before our very own eyes, right? A lot of the people who succumbed to the crack and whatnot, they didn't necessarily succumb to it in front of us like that. She did. She did. And it just messed me up, man. And I'm not judging and whatnot. I'm definitely smudging. You know, I'm definitely smudging. You said people were perverts before crack. Who said that they? Who said that they wasn't? What I'm saying though is there was a certain level of respect that women and men had for themselves. And then there was also a level of respect that the younger generation had for the older generation. The younger generation was not sleeping with the older generation for favors, for drugs back in those days. Even when it came to heroin, I could be wrong. But when I spoke to the people who was dealing heroin and who was addicted to heroin, did I see it? Did it ravage your community? Nigga, I just told you I lived in Flatbush. The fuck? I lived in Flatbush, Brooklyn. What the fuck? Of course it ravaged my community. It tore it up. It tore it up. We used to go to sleep to the gunshots right off of Church Avenue, right down the block. You feel me? The shower posse was in Flatbush when I was a youth, and they was tearing shit up. You know? They was tearing shit up. You saying that perversion killed the communities? I agree. Perversion was here before crack. Badu been tripping since window seat and just been getting worse. You know, smashing junkies is a no-no. It might be now, but it wasn't back then. You know, it might be now, but it wasn't back then. People didn't have no shame in doing shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of crazy, but it is what it is. It was an abomination in the eyes of whoever was looking. Whoever was looking. It was an abomination to whoever was looking. Whatever ancestors, whatever spirits was looking, it was an abomination. Would I date a 90s baby? Inquiring minds would like to know. What the hell does that mean? What the hell? If I could turn back the hands of time and change one thing, it would be a toss-up between integration and the crack era. You know? It would be between integration and the crack era, but I probably will go with the crack era. But this is the thing. If it were not for integration, I don't think that the crack era would have been what it was, right? I saw Mia Campbell the other day. I'm going to show you a picture of her. She back to looking like a baddie again. Who introduced crack? That's a very good question. That is a very good question. We interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross on our show, right? The godfather of that shit, right? I remember when we was about to interview him, and Blue was like, yo, we got Rick Ross as a whatchamacallit, as a guest. And I was offended. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, Ricky Ross? You mean like Highway Ricky Ross? And I literally was I was like, bring him on. I was hyped. You know, I was on my red pill shit back then. And I was like, yo, I'm going to eat his food. Rick Ross. Here go Mia Campbell, right? This is from one day ago. She back to being a baddie. Look how we snap back. Look how we snap back, right? Look how we snap back. Look how that melanin is elastic and whatnot. So she went through zombie mode, right? She went literally in zombie. She had mental health issues, and Lord knows the things that were done to her while she was out there vulnerable, right? But she snapped back. I wish Whitney had the opportunity to do that. So they said that the CIA introduced crack to our hoods. And when you do a little bit of deep diving, it's no surprise. That's fully what I believe, that the CIA had their hands in it. They had their hands in it because remember, people were freebasing, right? Cocaine was an expensive drug. Then they started freebasing. Then they was like, yo, we got the Timu version of Coke, and it's called crack. And then at first it was like a party thing. People didn't, because how did you know that they was going to create a zombie? People didn't know that. How you going to know that it's going to create a zombie? All people knew is that shit was a super duper rush and whatnot, and it got them high as a motherfucking giraffe pussy. You know what I'm talking about? And once they got addicted to it, because you know the cocaine is addictive, right? You see I don't got to tell you what it is. Rick James said cocaine is a hell of a drug. You see what it's doing. You see what it did to a lot of rich niggas back in the days in the 70s and 80s and whatnot. They wasn't stronger than the coke. They wasn't stronger. Niggas thought that they were stronger than the coke. They wasn't stronger than the coke. You're not stronger than the dope. You're not stronger than the horse. You're not stronger than the boy, and you're not stronger than the girl and whatnot. So our people was getting their asses handed to them. You know, the Mexicans had her strung out. That's crazy. That's crazy. Latoya says she might be a clone. Hold on. She might be a clone. I think the same place that made Jamie Foxx might have made her. You know? But something needs to be done. I feel like Cavario said that crack hit Peru first. I could see that happening in South America because the you know, they doing all of that chemical mixture. Did you ever see how they make cocaine in the jungles? The shit crazy and whatnot. All of that, they pouring barrels of gasoline on the shit, petrol, like it's crazy. How could you smoke that? You know? How could you smoke that? What about Unc 607? He's on crack. He ain't snapped back yet. He look like he's still on that shit. You know? So yes, they did say that they was at UCLA cooking up. They did say that they was at UCLA cooking up. That's what Rick Ross said. So make a long story short, Rick Ross came on Blog Talk Radio as our guest. His story was so compelling, I didn't even bro, I was speechless. I couldn't even eat his food. I was in the classroom taking notes because one of the things that he showed was redemption. You know how I am about redemption, and I speak on that a lot on this show. Why? This platform was built on redemption. You know, this platform was built. I'm a redemption baby. You know what I mean? I had to redeem myself. You know, I had to redeem myself because I couldn't just pop up on the internet with the energy that I had when I was in the streets or outside. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have worked. You know what I'm saying? So my redemption qualities is the fact that I was able to clean myself up over the decades and whatnot and turn a new leaf and become a better person, a family man. I didn't have no family when I was a knucklehead. You know, now I had family, but I didn't have no children. Let me just clear that up. You said he seems proud of his crack career in interviews. You say crackheads can never redeem themselves? Come on, Latoya. Where you from? I'm gonna entertain you right now, Latoya. Where you from? Where you from? What part of the earth? Because I didn't see you in the roll call. Where is you from? That's why, yeah, I'm sure that's why he's mad at Rose, at William, at Richard Ross. You know, addiction is just one of the many experiences in this holodeck. Yeah. You reincarnated to be addicted. To be honest with you, addiction, the other word for addiction is vice. How many people could identify that they have a vice? I have a vice. You know, how many people could be honest and identify that they have a vice? Because that's another word for addiction. And I'm not talking about Miami Vice either. How many people could honestly say that they've either fought through a vice or they currently have a vice? You know? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're in the hologram. Remember, we incarnated to be here to do what? To do what? To fight your vices? To just be pristine and perfect and have no vices? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck are we here for? You know? But one of the things that I would ask, and $1 million question, right? Because yes, the vice is the test. The vice is the test. So if your vice is chocolate big booty baddies and whatnot, the test that you have to pass so you don't come back, right? So your vice could be knowledge. There's people that are knowledge junkies. You know? Crackheads say nothing tastes better than crack. Taste buds are powerful. Taste buds make people eat to their graves. Okay. Weed is my vice, or porn, but I'm good with them. Right. So once again, right? Because the internet is a vice. The digital social media is a vice. Food could be a vice. Weed could be a vice. You feel me? Shopping could be a vice. Online shopping. When people shop in order to feel better and whatnot. Shit like that. Right? Certain people have vices that are cigarettes, right? My $1 million question to everybody who's identifying their vice: are we here to defeat the vice? Are we here to defeat or to break these addictions? Right? Stacy said watching handsome black men on YouTube is a vice. right? Because when you look at America, the way that America is set up, right? America has been set up for everyone to basically have a vice, right? That's why they say that this is Babylon. That's why they say, that's why people on the outside looking in are like, look at this fucking, look at this godless country, right? Who's judging? People who live in places where you could get your hands cut off for doing certain things that you just over here doing freely, right? There's certain places where you can't smoke weed. You get 10 years for that. So of course they're gonna look at somebody puffing herbs and whatnot, like, yo, look at that vice, look at that. Look, they don't have no discipline. They don't have this, they don't have that. You know? So when they say that you can come back to do this all over again if you don't pass your test while you're here on this planet, which is like school, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's $1 million question. Because you could beat one vice, but then wind up getting attached to another vice. You feel me? And there's a real thing called attachments. You know what I'm talking about? There's attachment spirits and whatnot. That's like parasites, right? So parasites bring addictions. Parasites bring about vices. You might be addicted to sweets and whatnot, right? That could be a parasite. You could be addicted to corn. You could have a succubus or incubus parasite attached to you, right? So it's to my understanding, based off of the studying that I did, I never died and came back, but based off of the studying that I did, it was shown to me that you could, the minute you make transition, right? It's almost like when you graduate from school, you'll be given your grades. The minute your quote unquote, the minute your quote unquote spirit or that internal flame or what they call the sentient light leaves your husk, and this turns into, you could just put that in the backyard and it turns into worms and everything, right? The minute that happens, they say that you wake up and you get your grades, right? From your time on this quote unquote plane of existence, which is basically like detention. You get shown your transcripts, right? In Islam, they talk about that. I don't know about Christianity if they talk about that and whatnot, but in Islam, they speak on that. So it's like, you'll get a grade. You'll be like, oh shit, I got a C minus. Yeah, you're jerking off too much. You know what I mean? You got a C minus. You didn't address your childhood trauma. You got a C minus. You was a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? In the eyes of whoever's judging you, whatever test this is, right? But that's what I was told. It could be real. It could be not. You know what I'm saying? But I was told that this thing is like, it's almost like a test. You're literally in school. You know? You're literally in school. So the question is, what is the lesson? And is one lesson everyone's lesson? So it's my, if there's lessons that I need to learn, does that apply to everyone else? Does that apply to my child? Does that apply to my parents? Does that apply to my loved ones? Or is this a specific test catered to my reincarnated spirit? You have to bear your own cross. You know? Hold on. Fifth Ward, Texas, crack central down this way, south. You got a variety of horse riding crackheads, working crackheads, church going crackheads, and the quarter crackheads. It's a serial energy. Yes, I've seen that in the 5th and the 3rd Ward when I was out there. Functioning crackheads, you know, neighborhood crackheads, everywhere that I've been. You know what I'm saying? it is what it is. This is what you see. You know, this is what you see. Now, do we judge people? I'm not, you know, I'm here to teach, I'm here to share, and I'm here to learn, and I'm also here to break some of those generational curses. And they say the children will inherit the karma. Crazy. Crazy. So this weekend, I got to see Vybz Cartel. I didn't go to Brooklyn to see him, but I got to see it on the internet because, you know, it was a lot of hype. And going back to an earlier conversation that we had, you know, I'm looking at the redemption qualities in a man who I remember in 2005, he had a talk, he had like a reality show called The Teacher's Pet, right? And then he had a Masonic ring, right? This is like back in the days when everything was Illuminati. This was like 05. And he was heavily bleaching, right? But then once again, I knew the reputation of Gaza, right? I knew the reputation of Vybz Cartel, and I knew the reputation of just them shotters from Jamaica, and they was following his lead and whatnot. So I remember, you know, he was a gunman, you know what I mean? And he represented the killers, you know what I'm saying? And once again, I come from Flatbush, so there's certain things that I might be familiar with that culture that a person down south, a person in Texas, a person in Cali, y'all know nothing of, right? But just think, if you in Cali, the cartel, the cartel in Cali is the Jamaicans in New York, in Brooklyn and whatnot. That's the equivalent, you know what I mean? That's how they was moving and whatnot. Shotters, like the movie Shotters, Belly and all of that shit. So I wasn't a fan of his. I was like, this nigga's cursed. He looks crazy. He looks demonic. Whatever's going on, he deserves it, right? I was judging him. And then he got sentenced to life for doing some fuckery. And then he got let go, right? And I had made a little observation because, you know, it's just the way that the culture was working, that 3 people that were high profile, right, got let out of the quote unquote underworld. And these 3 people have a very, very strong influence on the hearts and the minds of the peoples. Those 3 people who they let go was Young Thug, Big Meech, and Vybz Cartel. These are underworld. This is like Osiris in the underworld type shit, the King of Corn. These are like these are the trench gods. These are the underworld deity, godlike figures in these days and times. But then I was judging. I was like, which one of them niggas have a redemption quality, right? It was just it was literally something that I do where I could look at the culture and I could basically, you know, I could look at it through the lens that certain people can't see it through. So I was looking at it through that lens. I was like, which one of them have the redemption quality? Which one of them have redeemed themselves? Because one thing I know about being buried alive and whatnot is that you can redeem yourself. You could come out brand new after going through hell. Remember, purgatory, the fire will burn you. Karma is the fire, right? Karma is the fire that burns and whatnot. But once it burns, you now have a clean slate. You know what I'm saying? And being buried alive and being in purgatory, sometimes that's the case and whatnot. So out of the 3 men that I just identified that are the underworld gods, that are the underworld bosses, the one that has the most redeemable quality is the world boss. Based off of actions, right? Based off of actions and based off of what is coming out of his mouth. Okay? Because at the end of the day, he who casts the spell should be he who breaks the spell. Don't leave it up to me to break the spell of a Big Meech, the type of spell that he put these little niggas under, to whereas they want to be kingpins and whatnot. I'm trying to break, I'm trying to pull people out of that spell and whatnot, but the one who could really break it is the one who casted it, right? That's where the redemption comes in. My nigga, clean up your mess. Stop putting it on the shoulders of man like me and whatnot. Clean up your mess. Clean up your backyard. Fix what you broke, right? And if the majority of the people who came home from the Joe Biden crime era, who was selling crack to kids and was selling crack to women and was out here doing crackhead shit, if they were to come home and if they were to quote unquote redeem themselves and atone for their sins, we would have more healing in our community. You feel me? We would have a little more healing in the community and whatnot. You know? Nobody is saying that he's the one. Once again, we're not approaching anything from a Christianized perspective. We're not approaching anything from a neo perspective. Nobody is the one. The world boss is the world boss. He has a fucking name called World Boss. And World Boss, right? It's not just a name. That shit has a meaning behind it. You know what I'm talking about? He's the world boss. So the spell that he casted when he was bleaching, when he was on his gunman killer, shoot him up, shot us, all of that stuff, that shit is still in Jamaica. Did you see these new niggas in Jamaica? Skilly Bang and what's the other nigga with the Skang? I'm talking about these niggas look crazy. They got some demonic shit going on in Jamaica right now, and it's crazy, right? But Vybz started that. Vybz is kind of like the father of that. You know what I'm talking about? Vybz Cartel, he's the one who kind of like jumped that shit off. Yeah, Skang. So to see him come home and be on his God is the greatest, you know, I'm preaching peace. I don't want no, you know what I mean? All of that, even though if they could look at it like, oh, this nigga is getting weak and whatnot, it is what it is. He who cast the spell. He who cast the spell, right? He who cast the spell is the one who has to break it. It's Guzu, worse than Obia, right? They on some other shit out there. And because they have global influence, they have influenced people in the UK. They're influencing Africa. They're influencing Jamaica, Brooklyn. They're influencing Miami. They're influencing all of the people, all of the places where people consume the music. So they are fully on a demon timeline in Jamaica right now. You know, they are fully on a demon timeline in Jamaica right now. So it was appreciative to watch the thing go down at the Barclays Center. He did 2 shows and whatnot. It was his redemption show. It was his comeback show. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of the cartel shit. I'm old school. I like Buju and Bounty Killer and all of that. I come from the dancehall sound clash era. I'm not with the newer stuff. But I'm rooting for him. I hope he doesn't let himself down. You feel me? I hope he doesn't let himself down. You understand? because he won't be letting nobody else down but himself. You know what I'm talking about? If he fucks around and does some stupid shit and trick himself out of his freedom, right? I think he had to move from Jamaica because he said it's not safe out there. You know what I mean? And he's in Florida now, living in Florida with the majority of a lot of Jamaicans. You know, I'm from the Sting era. You know what I'm talking about? At King at Ease, Stone Love, shit like that, Bass Odyssey, and all of that. Like I'm from that era. You know what I mean? But it was still Gundaneros. You know what I mean? It was still Gundaneros. It was the Badman pull up era. You know what I mean? It was a lot of Jamaicans live in Florida, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale. That's their second home. You know, that's their second home. One of the things that I picked up though on the vibe shit is that he's the one who started all of that real raunchy. He's like the Little Wayne of the Jamaican niggas. He's like the Little Wayne of dancehall. I'm not saying that they wasn't, because dancehall is about, you know, man and woman. You know what I mean? It's about, you know, dancehall is about freaky shit. But that nigga right there, I mean, goddamn, man, I was listening to the songs. I was like, my nigga is obsessed with my dude is obsessed with smashing. He's obsessed with smacking bellies for real. Like my nigga is like a porn star. You know? Who started the daggering? Who started niggas jumping off of speakers and whatnot? Who started that? We should lock them up. Who started that shit? You know what I mean? You know, but at the end of the day, we grown, right? We grown men and grown women and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Being a gallus and whatnot and smacking bellies is not the worst thing that we could do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna vote against it. You know? You said his show was stripper club vibe? Nah. Why? I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get that vibe. Anytime you go to something with a Jamaican, know that they're gonna be talking about smacking cheeks. Just understand they're gonna be talking about their gun and they're gonna be talking about smacking cheeks. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they do. He activated the dancehall freak bag. Okay, so that was him that did that? Yeah, we need to, yeah. We need to, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy, boy. Because that's all, oh my goodness. And they always eating something. Yeah. It did come from Pasa Pasa. That's what I mean. Who started the Pasa Pasa Roadshow? Like, what's the artist that's like the face of Pasa Pasa? Because that's when the Jamaican shit went out the window, when they started jumping off of speakers. Like, what? Like, what the helly? That's when I turned that shit off. Rest in peace to Bogle and whatnot. That's when I had to unplug, because I was like, that's what Bogle started that shit? Lord God, man. Rest in power to the man. Lord God. That wasn't it right there. That's where you lost me. My nigga. That was not it. Yeah, acrobatics in a dance hall. We didn't need all of that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it is what it is. Once again, shout out to him and Sidel. See them. Shout out to see them. And shout out to the bro. You know what I mean? And I really hope that he helps to clean up Jamaica from the murder capital and from the suffering that has gone through, because Jamaicans are some good people. You know, if you know, you might not know any, but I promise you, that island, that little island that has influenced the whole world and whatnot, there's some good people over there. You know, the acrobatics was the woman. Yeah, we still got Capleton, right? Screw them. You still listen to Peter Tosh? I don't even know who to listen to of the new people. You know, I like the kid. You know, my Scorpio. You understand? I don't have to explain it. You know my dark hermit. You know what I'm talking about? You know my dark hermit. I get attached to the dark side quick. So when I seen Crocodile Teeth and my dude Skilly Bang, I was like, that's my nigga right there. I fucks with him. Cause he looks scary. You know what I'm talking about? I like a nigga that looks scary, bro. Scare me. You know what I'm saying? He look like he's doing what he's talking about. You know? But yeah, that's it for the reggae stuff. Lauryn Hill's son's name is YK Marley, I believe, or YG Marley. You know? YG Marley. What's her name? What's the girl name? Shinsea? 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 What's that girl name? YG Marley is Lauryn Hill's son. Yeah, he's making moves and whatnot. Shinsea. Shinsea. Shinsia. Shinsia. Yeah. Shinsia. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I just like the confidence. You feel me? I like the confidence. You know what I'm talking about? Because when you fine and you know you fine, I like the confidence. You know? That's what I like. I like the confidence. You smell me? But the way she carry herself, yeah, you know? She a little raunchy and whatnot, but yeah. Am I familiar with Midnight? Of course. Of course. Of course. That's with my guy, Vaughn Benjamin, Rising Power. Yeah. Man, Shinsia. I got a Shinsia in the crib, though, so I ain't even, you know what I'm saying? I ain't stressing it, but yeah, she that's the face right there of the women in Jamaica, the women from what I see. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really tapped in with the new shit. I'm just from what I see. She looked like she's the face of dancehall for the women, for the women and whatnot. You know? And she been working. I've been seeing her working. It ain't like she's an industry plant. She been working for a minute now. Now, there's an interesting article that I want to speak about. And we're going to do a deeper dive on this article. You said Spice is the queen? I ain't going to lie to you. Spice got on my radar this week. Spice got on. No, my wife is almost like Shinsia. She's damn near, they damn near look alike. Spice got on my radar. I've been seeing Spice here and there. You feel me? To be honest with you, I didn't even realize that was the girl from Romp and Chomp. You feel me? And when I seen her performing with Vybz Cartel this week, this strong, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She's something else. You know what I'm talking about? She's something else. She moving that thing, man. You said the blue hair got to go. I think so too. You know what I'm saying? Was she a Crip or something? It's all blue everything. She like Smurfette. Bring Rosbin on to discuss the new alien news. I will bring Rosbin on. I thank you for reminding me because I do have to reach out to him to set the show up. Amira Del Negra has pressure too. Yeah, I was the year was 2016. This was before she came on Love and Hip Hop. I just seen her on the internet. And I never saw, I ain't gonna say I never saw, she had an afro and everything. She was thicker than a bowl of grits, and the face looked like like a baby doll. You know what I mean? She had my heart for like a day. You know what I'm talking about? She had the kid. I was stuck. You know, I was stuck. You know, and then she got on Love and Hip Hop, and I was like, yeah, I'm off that. You know what I'm talking about? We can't. We not doing Love and Hip. You know what I mean? Once they start talking, shit start going away. But she is a beautiful sister. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Shout out to her. This is what I wanted to show before I even get into the article, because I'm all over the place. This is the AI shit that I was talking about, right? This is Notebook LM. This is on Google and whatnot, right? It's free. Okay. You could go and do it yourself. But Notebook LM is a powerhouse. Okay. So think about like notebooks. I've been making like these are notebooks where you basically could build up a notebook, fill it up with sources, right? So I chose, you could fill it up with PDFs. You could fill the notebook up with YouTube videos. You could fill the notebook up with all kind of shit, right? So I made a whole notebook for Dr. Blair because they like taking his shit off the internet and everything. So I'm like, yo, I'm making a notebook for Dr. Blair. You know what I mean? So this notebook is crazy. The AI, like I said, I'm using the AI for my benefits. Feel me? I'm not using it for evil. I'm not using it to take, you know what I mean? I'm not using it to hurt nobody. I'm using it for the beneficial factor of it to enhance my knowledge. You know what I mean? To enhance my knowledge. Yeah, Dr. Delbert Blair, right? So yeah, this is a data farm. Check it out. It's so much information that I got in here that it's literally asking questions for itself. Look, boom. What key historical events or periods did Dr. Blair emphasize in understanding galactic history's influence on Earth? I didn't even write that question. Google thought of the question. You know what I'm saying? Google thought of the question. So imagine being able to ask Dr. Delbert Blair a question, and he's not even with us anymore. He's an ancestor, right? This is almost like the Akashic Records, okay? This is almost like the Akashic Records, right? What star systems did the Dogon people watch, right? So some of the questions, right? Boom. It gave you Sirius, right? It gave you the Sirius jump off, right? So some questions may be a little bit too much, but I'm like, why the fuck did you ask it if you don't want to answer it? But that's what you have to, when it comes to like some of these mainstream LLMs or AI, the mainstream ones, they're heavily censored. Okay. They're heavily censored and whatnot. You know, it's the small hats that are behind all of this stuff. What constellations the ancient Egyptians closely observed? That's why you got to go with open source, like the shit that China is putting out. A lot of the open source stuff, you could get there's no guardrails and whatnot. They don't have it. You know, it's not as censored as the closed private technology, if you understand what I'm saying. Right? So it gave you what the Egyptians were observing the constellations of Orion, Pleiades, and Sirius. They're extracting all of this information from the sources that I'm giving you for Delbert Blair. Now check this out, right? This is what else it could do. It could give you what is known as a mind map. So check out this mind map. It could also create a podcast off of the information where the AI will be talking to each other. So check that out. Boom. I'm going to generate the AI. But while I'm doing that, let's check out the mind map, right? If anybody's familiar with mind maps, then you know what this shit do, right? Boom. Metaphysical, spirituality. And from that comes all of this, right? And then when you prompt it, right? Boom. it'll give you all of this stuff. Okay? It'll give you all of this stuff. So this is for the students that are out there. This is some serious ish, right? Yeah, so you see the mind map. So for the students and whatnot, this is for the students, this is for the studious ones and whatnot. Like you literally could be teaching yourself. You literally could be teaching yourself off of stuff like this, right? You literally could be teaching yourself off of these mind maps. You know what I'm saying? And all of this is based off of things that he said. This is all based off of what he said. So the AI is doing a great job of cataloging and basically bringing everything underneath one roof, right? So that's the mind map. Now check out this quote unquote podcast that I'm creating, right? And you could click on it, boom. It made a study guide. It made a study guide. It's crazy, bro. The shit is crazy, right? So here's a study guide. Here's a quiz. There's a quiz, right? So you could take your own, you could do a quiz and you could be like, yo, how smart am I? Or how much do I know Dr. Blair's work? And you literally could create a quiz and answer the questions, right? Sharpen your sword and whatnot. You don't have to debate. You don't have to argue with nobody. You literally could just sharpen your sword by engulfing yourself in all of this data, right? Now check this out. This is going to blow your mind.
Welcome back. You're here because you want to get up to speed, get informed, but maybe you don't have hours to sift through everything yourself.
Right. You want the core ideas fast.
Exactly. And that's what we do. Today, we are diving into Dr. Delbert Blair's work. We're looking at a collection of his YouTube videos. Could be lectures, sometimes just conversations.
And our goal here, our mission, if you like, is really just to pull out the key concepts, maybe some surprising claims that Dr. Blair puts forward in this material.
We'll touch on things like human origins, consciousness, societal stuff he talks about.
Yeah, a whole range. But it's really important for everyone listening to understand we're exploring his ideas as presented. We're not here to judge them or fact check them or say we agree or disagree. Just presenting the perspectives found in those videos.
Got it. Okay, so let's start with human origins and ancient history. A really central idea for him seems to be that while the original people on every single continent were dark-skinned.
Yes, he uses that anthropological term negroid. And the key thing is every continent.
Right, not just Africa. He's saying go back far enough, anywhere, and that's the origin.
Which definitely, challenges the narratives many of us learned.
And what about cases like, say,
that's
the
AI.
Aboriginal people in Australia? Some have blonde hair naturally, right? How does he explain that?
Well, his take is that's not original. He
Right.
suggests that's from some kind of later external influence, maybe genetic mixing down the line. So he flips it. It's not about where dark skin came from, but maybe who interfered later.
Interesting way to frame it. It definitely makes you think differently about migration and genetics over like millennia.
Yeah, it moves away from simple, isolated evolution.
So I just dropped the link. I dropped the link in the chat so y'all could go and listen to that and whatnot. We're not going to play the whole 15 minutes, but I'll drop the link again. But yeah, that's what they're doing with the AI right now. That is what they're doing with the AI right now. And I even think that you could, if you're nice enough, you could tweak the audio to make it sound like you or make it sound melanated and whatnot. But that is their default accents, or that is their default voices and whatnot. But the shit is crazy. I smoke a blunt sometimes and just press play and I be laughing my ass off. Like, it's kind of crazy. So you can make a notebook of anybody. You could take stuff from a website. You could take a whole website's URL and put it in there. You could take a PDF. You could take a book. You could take writings and whatnot. You could take all of these things and make your notebook. similar to any notebook. Like it's a digital notebook, like how this is a notebook, and then you can open up the notebook and pull from it. That's how that is. That's how that is and whatnot. We go through all of that on Friday and whatnot. Friday's class. This is not a shameless plug, but we do have an AI class that we just started. Me and Spin City going for 4 weeks. Fantasy complex industry, and it's a beautiful time. It's what a effing time to be aligned. Technology is crazy. And yeah, we got access. You know what I mean? We have access in ways that we didn't have before. So we have to take full advantage of it while we have access. I don't have time to worry. I don't have time to complain. I don't have time to point fingers. I don't have time to be a victim and whatnot. That takes too much energy. I just got my head down and I'm just working, man. You feel me? I just got my head down and I'm just staying focused. You know what I'm saying? I'm just working. I'm just making breakthroughs and whatnot. And I'm having personal breakthroughs in my life. You feel me? Check this out. So regardless if we agree to it or not, if this is something that we don't fuck with, the children are going to be mandated, because anything that China does, America follows. Why? Because they're at war. They're at war. There's an AI war going on. There's a Cold War going on. So anything that they do to advance their society, America is going to follow suit. And if they don't follow suit, they're just basically showing you that they don't give a damn about you, and they just want the children to be mindless, quote unquote, fiends, right? But I would say to anybody in the audience, when is the time going to be right to teach the children about the AI? When you going to teach the child how to work the AI? When you going to teach the child, what AI is and how to utilize it to make a living? When? Because they still think that they going to school to be doctors and shit, and that's never going to be the case. Moving into the future, they're not going to be no human doctors. You know what I'm talking about? There's not going to be a lot of shit that humans have done, and you spending all of that time and whatnot. Ain't going to be that. It ain't going to be that. So we got to begin to analyze what's going on and pivot. Keyword is pivot, right? Pivot. You don't want to be behind the 8 ball. You want to be in front of it. Hopefully you want to be in front of it. I know that I do. I'm gonna speak for myself. I want to be in front of the 8 ball. I'm not trying to catch up to nobody. So here's what we're going to be talking about. We have a show coming up, right? Here's this new channel that we have, right? Here's our new channel. And tomorrow, if it's not tomorrow, it's going to be the next day. We're going to be doing a special show on this channel. Let me see where the channel is. I'm going to pull it up and whatnot. Oh, Sophia Stewart's Matrix has came to life. It already came to life. Where the fuck were you at? Sophia Stewart's Matrix, my nigga, you're living in it. I don't want to burst your bubble, but god damn it, you got to be aware of your surroundings. My nigga, you're in the simulation. Like, what are we talking about? This is Machine City. Am I in denial? No. We in the Matrix. We in a Matrix. Like, don't get it fucked up. We're in the Matrix, bro. You know what I mean? Now, the $1 million question is, are you Neo? Are you Cypher? Are you Morpheus? Are you Agent Smith? Who are you in the Matrix? So tomorrow, we're going to be on this page right here. This is the page that we started up with me, Blue Pill, and Brother Rich. And I'm going to drop the link for the channel. I want y'all to subscribe to this channel. This is going to be a channel where we speak things dealing with the culture, hip hop culture. And tomorrow we're going to have a real deep conversation, right, about this article that came out. Let me show you this article. This one right here, I might lose my page if I speak about this underneath this page because of the sensitivity of the topic and whatnot. So one of my favorite investigative reporters, a European lady named Whitney Webb, her and this website called Unlimited Hangout, right? They did an expose. They did an expose and they did an investigative report tying P. Diddy to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole of how fucking deep this shit goes. Okay. This is not no regular reporting. This is some intense, deep diving, investigative. They don't have this no more. This is the type of shit I go off. Like this is what I'm into. The real investigate. I come from 60 Minutes era. You know what I mean? Like I'm into real, not that 1 minute TikTok shit. No disrespect, but I'm a nerd when it comes to stuff like this. Take me on a motherfucking trip. You know what I mean? Take me down a rabbit hole. Okay. So Whitney Webb tied P. Diddy into Jeffrey Epstein, right? And it's not just her tying into Jeffrey Epstein. She also tied Clive Davis and a whole bunch of people into this whole situation that we see going on that people are scared to talk about. Now, I'm going to drop the link. It's on a Patreon. You could sign up to the Patreon for free, right? I'm going to drop the link. This is the link for it. And tomorrow we'll be on that channel talking about this. This is it came out this weekend. This is a bombshell article, deep investigative reporting, right? Deep investigative reporting. Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, Clive Davis, P. Diddy. Guilty as charged. You know what I'm talking about? They cooked them. You know what I mean? They tied in a bunch of shit on them and they cooked them. We need more reporters like this. We need more reporters like this. We need more reporters like this with integrity in their reporting. Not that, you know, no disrespect, but not that, oh, I had a dream last night and P. Diddy is, no, nigga, you got to prove it. You got to prove it. You know what I'm saying? So it goes in. It shows how they broke P. Diddy, got his ass tied up and whatnot, you know, in the beginning, turned him into a vampire. And he subsequently went to turn others into vampires the same way that Russell Simmons is turning people into vampires and whatnot. And this is going to be required before the trial starts, so we don't feed into the fuckery because they're utilizing our people as fall guys. Yeah, P. Diddy is a sack of shit and whatnot, but put Clive Davis in jail too. You know what I'm talking about? Put all of them in there. Let's not utilize patsies and whatnot. Jeffrey Epstein was a patsy. He wasn't the big dog. He wasn't the big dog. So I'm like, yo, get all of them. And don't wait for Donald Trump to do the fucking work either, because he's in the goddamn report too. Okay? He's part of the fucking cabal as well. Let's stop the bullshit. Niggas talking about Donald Trump gonna drain the swamp. Nigga, he is a swamp. So that's coming tomorrow. That's coming tomorrow. You already know I dropped this article into the notebook. You know. But yeah, I need to see Clive Davis getting cooked because he done cooked Whitney Houston. I told y'all how I felt about Whitney Houston. His fingerprints is all over her casket and whatnot. His ass gotta go. He gotta go. You know what I'm saying? He took down the Philadelphia. He took down Gamble and Huff. He took down black music. Clive Davis, the Keebler elf. He needs to go. So we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure y'all follow the channel. We also have Techno Tuesdays tomorrow. Look out for that. Like I said, we got the class on Friday. Look out for that. And we got some more things that we're going to be. Yeah, and Whitney's daughter as well. You feel me? Like, we're talking about mobsters, y'all. mafia, gay mafia, mobsters. Feel me? All and small hats. You know what I'm talking about? These are Frankists. If anybody was in the lecture that we did on Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah with Bedell, 1014, I'll keep it on 44, Blue Pillar 44. I did a whole 2 hours on a Frankist. I did a whole 2 hours on that demonic satanic cult out of Is It Real called a Frankist. Right? I showed and proved and whatnot. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. Just this article alone is going to blow your mind. So go ahead and do your deep dive. Go and do your deep dive and go and do your investigative report, and let's get back up and let's have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say peace, love, and light. We will see you very, very soon. Tomorrow, mañana. All right. And until then, stay dangerous. Peace.
Red, blue, purple light, friends. Red, blue, purple light, friends. Facts. Red, blue, purple light, friends. Red and blue, purple light, friends. Facts. You can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to Melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I open my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah. We gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts. We in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts. Peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light. To the family. Peace, love and light. To the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.